Okay,
Ready?
yeah. I think so.
Okay, I make a motion to open the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Wills,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Ewenbeck,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, is there any board member with a conflict of interest or anything to disclose regarding the agenda items this evening?
I don't have a conflict of interest, but just disclosure that I do live next door to one of the applicants.
Okay, thank you.
No.
I do not. I do not.
I do not. Okay, with that being said, would the clerk please review in as much detail as possible our open meeting compliance certification and our policy?
Absolutely. The public will have opportunities to comment on specific agenda items when they occur in the meeting and also on general matters at the beginning of the meeting. Speakers can comment once in each comment window. If it is on a specific agenda item, it is not a debate, a deposition, or a panel discussion. Speakers must step to the front of the room if physically able. Alternatively, they may provide comments from where they are seated. If an attendee is participating via web conference technology such as Zoom, the clerk will announce how attendees should signal that they wish to comment. This may differ by platform, but is typically accomplished through the raise your hand feature, and we are using Zoom. So please, if you wish to comment, raise your hand. If you wish me to ask the board the question, put it in the Q&A, please. I don't respond to the chat section. Speakers must give their name, address, and organization. There shall be an exemption for any category of people protected by New York State law. Speakers must be recognized by the presiding officers. Speakers must limit their remarks to 3 minutes on any given topic. Speakers may not yield any remaining time that they may have to another speaker. Board members may, with the permission of the mayor, only interrupt the speaker during their remarks for the purpose of clarification or information. Speakers must observe commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. Interested parties and their representatives may address the board by written communications to the village clerk at villagepittsburgh.com. All written communications will become part of the public record and will be attached to the minutes for that meeting. At the senator's request, written communications will be read aloud by the clerk at the meeting and will adhere to a 3-minute time limit. If printed materials or other media are provided by attendees during the meeting, they must be submitted to the village board with optional distribution to audience members. All materials will be part of the public record. Private distribution of materials to audience members only is prohibited.
Thank you. And with that being said, let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And I'll ask trustee Marshall to lead us.
Oh, it's.
Switched on us.
Oh, wow, it's usually over here.
I know.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to public comment.
This public power on anything or something I'm gonna shut it up your time.
Who am I speaking with? Please identify yourself with your name and address.
Oh. My name is Dan, Erie County. My residency is Erie County.
I'm sorry, your name again?
My name is Dan, Erie County. My
Dan, Erie
residency is
County?
Erie County.
Oh, I thought your last name was Warmus.
No, that's not the name I'm going by today.
Oh.
But I like when you say my name, it just makes me know
Okay,
that I'm-
okay, so do you have a comment?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you have 3 minutes and you're being timed as of now.
All right, so I'll come to comment about the village hall and its procedures of no photography in the village hall. I come and did the First Amendment audit. I tell you guys, I've done First Amendment audits across the state. I've been to 60 county buildings, 60 county clerk's offices. I've been, out of the 68 counties in the state. I've been across the whole state, all the towns, villages. Sometimes I have some really, really pleasant experiences in town. Sometimes I get some free cool swag. Sometimes I can see some cool stuff. Now, I came in here and it was immediately, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. I don't know where you guys get off telling your bosses what they can and can't do if they're not breaking the law. Because at the end of the day, public servants work for their boss at every given moment. And if you guys don't agree with that, you're probably in the wrong career. Now, I come to stress these signs that you guys have up of photography is prohibited inside Village Hall. Photography is not prohibited. It's not prohibited by anything. And if you guys try to make any type of ordinances, we're gonna challenge you in court every time. I could have came here, had a pleasant experience and been gone, right? But that's not the way it went down. I came here, had an unpleasant experience. You guys took advice from the deputy, you got the whole town sued, got the department sued, everybody's getting sued because they all went on this dumb deputy's advice, right?
Please silence your cell phone.
So. My point is, the reason I have to keep coming back is the unconstitutionality of this place, right? I like to come here once, have a pleasant experience and leave, and never have to come back. Those signs stay up, I gotta keep coming back because there's no reason for it. The issues that you guys went through as far as the amount of money you guys spent to take taxpayers' money to even try to stop on camera is ridiculous. I like accountability, I like transparency. I'm never here to fry people, I'm never here to, you know, in the video, I said I could call someone an arrogant bitch. I didn't go out and call her a bitch in front of nobody. It's not the way it went down. Even unless the clerk explains to the cops, give me trust me, out of here. But
If you just could maybe just instead of just say B word, you know, you're on a video, there's children. You
I mean,
know,
it's constitutionally protected. I understand that it is, but we're not in, you know, PBS here. This is government. This is
Yep,
open
it is.
accountability. I'm wearing a shirt today just to make sure everybody knows.
You have 1 minute?
1 minute.
Okay.
But my point is, I guess all I have to say left is, are these signs coming down? I mean, someone coming in here and filming, I certainly didn't hurt nobody by you know, showing and that. I certainly didn't come in here as aggressively as they said. I don't want to have to keep coming back. I want the signs down. I want you guys to comply with the law. I want you to comply with the oaths of office that you all swore an oath to the Constitution, and that's it. That's all I have to say about that. And I'd like to see those signs down, otherwise I gotta keep coming back.
Thank you for your comments and your input. Is there any other public comment this evening? Anybody online?
Yes, but no comments.
Okay,
Can you tell me how many people are online right now?
2.
okay, next up, our very first item this evening, the special permit application for 50 State Street, Building G. Welcome. Hey, let's pull these chairs around, pull up some chairs. Come on up and have a seat. Just pull chairs. Yeah. We don't
You can-
bite.
You can grab that one.
Yeah, that one, either way, there we go.
All right.
Okay,
All right, so, I'm applying for reopening the business that was sold.
your name, please? for the
No,
record. Yeah, just names and, you know, just so.
Jorge Chavez, we live in 26 Ripondale
Mhm.
Road, Pittsburgh. My organization is called Horizon 52,
Mhm.
and through that organization, we bought a coverage room. Now they close, when I bought it, they closed. But we are reopening. The name is Renee,
Hello.
my wife,
Oh, okay.
so she's helping with all this process.
Mhm.
So, so I'm here today to request a permit to operate the brewery. I'm applying for a dual license, which is a nano brewery and a farm brewery.
Mhm.
Which allows me to purchase grains from other states, not just, New York, and produce different type of beers. It also allows me to buy beer from other breweries, so I could sell them on my brewery.
And so you'll be brewing and bringing in
And
other.
the only reason I'm bringing some because I wanna have a non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Sure,
And a
an
gluten-free,
alternative for people.
yeah, and a gluten-free one.
Thank you.
That's why I applied for the farm brewery license, so we can have that options for the whole.
Okay.
So, and that entails, asking to manufacture, sell the beer on premises and online, sell the merchandise on premises online, sell food. I'm gonna, provide food. Previously, they did not have, so I'm trying to make it happen.
Can I ask you, what kind of food is it? Is it gonna be food made on site? Is there a kitchen in there or?
There is no kitchen. I'm purchasing, a special oven,
Okay.
which is stainless. It's high pressure, has a pin pincher
Mhm.
and a toaster.
Mhm.
And it's high speed. And I'm partnering with US Food which they have almost prepared packaged food, so we can just
Oh.
put it in the oven.
Got it.
Mhm.
Maybe this. We have to do examples here.
And we wanna-
Yeah, examples of the.
That was great, thank you.
Visually it's
Thank you
helpful.
very much.
Yeah, from there's a sample menu.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's our test menu that we have right now. We can start in there.
Thank you.
Oh, I know those things.
One of you can give it to me later.
Yep. Oh,
So effectively, so US Food would be able to distribute to you guys
Yes,
each one of these menu items, and they would be able to actually be prepared in this facility.
yes.
Like how big is, I guess you're aware of the size of these, but.
There's a.
we have a spec sheet here.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we have a cut sheet.
There's a
Oh,
portion.
wait a
Oh,
minute.
wow, okay, gotcha.
I'm giving you a lot of different things here.
Yeah, well, that's the test menu. Those are the options that I have.
Oh.
Yes, those are all the options. I wanna have,
Oh, tacos.
yeah, I don't wanna have an overwhelming menu.
Yeah, yeah.
There's so many people can
Mhm.
choose.
Mhm. Oh, wow, okay.
Has our building inspector, Steve, been in to look at the placement of the oven? Have you talked to him yet?
No, I talked to him this last week.
He'll work with
Okay,
you.
and then he'll come in.
He'll work with you.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens, yeah. He's been in touch with you, I know that. So then are you keeping all of the original vats that are there for
Everything,
brewing?
yes, everything that was there.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
keeping everything is almost the same,
Okay.
except for the food. That's the only.
Yeah, okay.
And so the name will still be.
The name is still the same.
Oh.
Yeah, in the logo, I make sure that everything is
Oh,
remains the
wow.
same.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because on the website, it looks like it says coming soon.
Yes.
New ownership.
Yeah,
So.
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same beers, same recipes, just a little bit more.
okay.
The diagram that was included in the packet is from Copper Leaf back in like the early 20s.
Yes,
Um,
that's
how
what it
is-
looks, that's the building looks like.
So you're keeping actually the same layout,
It is a.
and the only thing you're adding in is the oven,
Is
you know,
the-
things for food prep,
Yes,
refrigeration.
Yeah.
So
freezer.
that's the piece that really, the building inspector would want to,
Mhm.
you know, for
Yes.
sure. So are you adding any additional seating?
No.
So it's literally the same,
It's literally
except the
the same.
food and how you're going to receive it and prepare it and store it.
I would prefer to see a drawing that's
Yeah.
updated for this particular use with seating, you know.
The ceiling is in the layout, I don't know if it's highlighted enough, but the ceiling is.
Yeah, I can see the seating.
Yeah, the ceiling is same. Eventually, I'm wanna change those back ceiling to woods.
And do you have one for the kitchen layout?
No, the kitchen is gonna be behind, if you see, she's on it.
Can you,
Yeah.
if you want to point on here?
Right.
So it.
Right there. That's the building.
So it's the entrance,
Yep.
And-
There's your bats.
it's about here, there's a room here, oh, actually, he's right. This is
Yeah,
not a
because
co-
that-
Yeah.
that-
Okay.
Something.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
he is correct, he's completely correct, so there's a room here for the whole room, and there's a room here, which is where the kitchen's going.
Right, right.
So in this room here,
That's the seating that he's talking
And so
about.
you would enter here or around here and then to get,
yeah, so here's the, this is a path right here.
oh, gotcha.
You wanna-
This is an open door,
Okay,
so-
want to show everybody? Here,
Yeah.
take this one.
Yeah, this is-
so, if you look, let's see, so you can see. So,
This is
the wall is,
entrance- This is the entrance.
this
to
is
our-
the entrance,
Okay, yeah.
this is where the bar is,
Uh-huh.
and it's not shown, but this is a cold room right here.
Mhm.
I'll draw a line right there, and this space here is where the kitchen is gonna be.
Okay.
And the access is here,
Okay.
and you can see this.
Yeah, it's a drawing.
Yeah.
So you're still gonna need, you know, you're gonna need, you know, hand sinks, you're gonna have to meet code
Yes.
for your kitchen. You know, and
Yes.
refrigeration
Refrigeration,
and,
yeah.
you know, are you having disposable dishes and, or are you doing, you know, is there dishwashing? You know, all of those things
Yeah,
will have to be factored in. We don't have any of that,
So
so,
there's a dishwasher in place that is gonna be used for both the
Uh-huh.
glasses and the,
okay.
there's a double sink.
And you'll need a separate hand sink for hand washing.
Yes, and there's gonna be a separate, yeah, and washer,
Yeah,
and We're gonna add a countertop for a table that has a counter for
Mhm,
refrigeration,
right, mhm,
and underneath, freezer and a refrigerator.
mhm.
So it's mostly but it fits.
Yeah, I mean, I think, is the kitchen layout designed at this point?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, I have it with me, but
okay, but if you can bring that in, I think, you
Yes.
know, Steve would want that and we would want that
I'm
too.
working to get the specs for the refrigerator.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, 'cause you have a tight space.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, the bats take up a lot of room.
So I have some questions about the
Yeah.
outdoor seating. So you have on this City of Pittsburgh Council request. Number 2, request permit for outdoor seating for Copper Leaf patrons. Now, are you talking about the space right outside the door where they
Yeah.
had them before?
It's right in front of the door.
Okay, and they're gonna be kind of roped off? Is that just the way they did before? Just
Yeah,
like
that
the
was what it was before, but
Okay.
I was told that you request permit for, I don't know.
Yeah, Steve will help you.
Yeah,
for
we
me.
have that on record. That
Yeah.
was, how many years ago? now? I don't even remember.
Not long.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
the outdoor seating was during COVID.
That was the
Mm,
planning
was it?
board.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
it started.
And I
but then it-
still have an issue with seating in the fire line.
Well, the fire department approved it.
That I have a problem
Okay.
with seating in the fire lane, and I think you should go to the existing chief now and see if he still buys them.
Sure.
Okay,
Okay, so we'll reach out to the, you know, fire district here.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was a planning board decision, if I remember.
yeah, I believe it was.
The decision, I don't know that that seating was ever approved, unless it was
It was.
approved under the emergency code and stuff.
It was then, and then it was extended. Oh, wow.
Well,
I wasn't on the board, so. I don't know.
clarify. Yeah.
Dr. Stevens.
Oh, sort of.
We seem to think that it's open, it's been approved for seating.
But we'll just need to nail it down.
However,
We'll solve it.
they apply for a special permit subject to whatever the fire.
Fire department
Yes.
review or,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you also have permit for outdoor special events. You have one in August and one in December.
Yes.
Is that your own or is that the Northfield Commons event? Okay, so Northfield Commons is saying that they're gonna do one in August and in December, and you want to be a part of that. is
I
what
want
you're
to be
saying.
part. In the December one is mostly just be part of the community.
That's like candlelight night. I think
Yeah,
we're
so
talking about.
there's no.
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Just coffee shop.
That's big.
Okay, and then tell me a little bit about the streaming music on the premises.
So there's songs installed in the building, so, and there is top and door streaming service paid to play music while people are buying and drinking.
Inside and outside or just inside?
Inside, outside, I'm not sure.
It's the same system as before,
Yeah,
right?
It's-
I don't
Yeah.
I don't remember, do they have outside?
They didn't have it outside.
Okay. And then tell me a little about the seating area in the back of building G. What is that?
Talking about
Number 5?
number 5. So I've been talking to a lot of neighbors. And they say that it would be nice if we can get a permit to have the seating area. There's a bench behind building G.
Mhm.
And there's some grass and there's some trees. And they say, well, if we have a seating area for everybody to sit, and then you can also use it for the brewery, for
Mhm.
people to sit there.
Mhm.
It'll be beneficial for everybody, not just the brewery. So,
Oh, a general seating area?
yeah, general seating area, like a general path.
Yeah,
So
it's sort of like the pavilion then that's down
Right.
here by lot 32,
Exactly.
because that's for everybody.
Yeah, exactly, something like that, so,
Oh,
starting the process too, so.
Mhm. I always think that stuff brings in people and,
Yeah,
Creates a nice
people like to
environment.
sit outside.
yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
when we can, when it's
Yeah,
not
we-
raining,
Yes,
I know.
and there are some trees there that provide some shade, so
Mhm.
it's the
Mhm.
breeze,
Yeah.
so it'd be nice to have the space.
Is
okay.
that part of the space that you're leasing?
No, but, Charlie,
Charlie.
Charlie,
Box.
he's agreeing with it, we just gotta make it official.
Mhm.
So technically, this board can't include that provision in a special permit if that's not the space that's being rented. Charlie wants to do something like that,
He's
you
got
have to
permit.
come in and get site plan approval and
Okay.
whatever.
So Charlie would have to do that. That's a different permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Follow shop.
he owns it, he
Yeah.
owns that property, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Sounds
You
good.
have a serious site plan approval.
Yeah. Is there any other kind?
I've got two concerns that I want to bring up, and it has nothing to do with you folks, believe me. There's an effort by Charlie to get the Tavern Overlay District extended into all of Northfield Commons, which is one street address. And the Tavern Overlay District is not supposed to abut residential. What you're proposing now with this kitchen is a big departure from what Copper Leaf had. And I don't want this to come back and say, see, this works fine. We can extend the Tavern Overlay District further into Northfield Commons. Second of all, the parking is mostly going to be down at the end by Abode, not up by your building. And that's directly next to the residential. So those are the two concerns that I've got.
So you're telling me the parking lot in the commons is residential also?
No, if you go all the way to the back of the property behind you,
Yes.
that's where that open parking area is, and that's where most of the cars park.
Behind a boat?
Yeah, in front of Abode between
Right,
feet and
right.
things and.
So your concern then, John, is that the parking would be now instead of just in the daytime, it would be in the evening as well?
Right.
Because right now the people are already parking around
They're
there.
usually gone.
and they're
by
gone.
stuff.
So you're saying that when people come from work and it's more quiet time, but then this would bring
Yeah.
in. So what happened with Copper Leaf? Were people parking back there?
Oh, yeah.
So,
So did that cause problems with? the
Well, I mean,
residents?
you've got people leaving at 10:30 at night, doors slamming, people talking, that type of thing.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's just a concern I'm bringing up. I understand what the parking looks like. I understand what the facility is. But I don't want Charlie coming in here in a year and saying, see, this works wonderfully. It's the test case for the next stage.
so how many other
Bars and restaurants.
businesses are open at that time?
Yeah, well, there's Olives and then
House
there's,
closes at 8, and
Label.
then Lake 7 stays
Yes,
open,
April
Seven's
and
open.
Copper Leaf stays open.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think those are really the only
Yeah.
two, right?
So I don't think the parking lot is a major issue because.
Right, they can park in the front.
yeah, all the other retail shops and salons are
Well,
closed.
if you fill up with Olives and Label 7, the overspill, I can tell you, the back parking lot is full.
Okay.
As a precedent for, the hours of operation that you have listed here, are those the exact same as Copper Leaf?
No, they're short. They're actually short.
They're
They
short.
used to be open at 1.
Mhm.
They used to open at 1 and not open. That's just-
Now they're open what,
At 4:30.
4:32?
To 9 on Tuesday to Thursday, and then Friday to Saturday, 4:30 to 10 PM.
Mhm.
So,
The closing
so
hours-
no Sunday, no Monday,
No Sunday.
and you shorten the actual.
Closed
hours.
Monday and Monday? Closed
Yeah,
Sunday
close
and
Sunday and
Monday?
Monday.
Maybe staying on hours and parking for a moment. I think parking finds its own watermark, right? The parking is already there. You want to have successful businesses in our community. And I think, yes, there may be some noise considerations with regards to where the parking goes on that property and anywhere else in the village. But if we're fortunate, there's parking on every street used till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, all the way down Main, all the way on the church, all the way, like, if we were so busy in the evenings till 8 or 9 o'clock, and then it quieted down at, what now is dusk, but that's a good thing to have a parking problem. So I hope you're successful in that endeavor, right, in having parking extend well into other streets. I do respect that it is near residential zones, and so to that end, I think your hours of operation ended at 9 and 10 o'clock are appropriate.
Mhm.
What I would suggest, though, is that this special permit approval is not necessarily for the hours that you have listed, not necessarily your hours of operation. Meaning, what you're asking for here is approval to operate from some start time, some end time,
Yeah.
right, in some number of days. What I would suggest, and if you might modify your application, if it were me, suggest that you have an 11:30 start time. Go to the hours that you've noted, 9, 10 o'clock. And then have it be 7 days a week.
It gives you more flexibility if you want to change it up a bit rather than having you come
Come
back.
back.
And Dave always catches this, and thank you
Yeah.
for that.
And
It
because
just is
Sunday,
supporting
Sundays
you.
are very busy in the village around that time, and you might find that you want to be open on Sunday, but if you do it this way, then you don't have to come back.
You don't have to have those hours.
Right.
No,
It gives you the option.
that is a great option to have.
Yeah,
And
an
I
option.
completely agree with you.
So these
So
would be
we
your
can
hours of
amend it.
operation,
Reflect that.
but I would have, I'm looking, for example, at Label. They're open 11:30 to 9, and then Friday, Saturday till 10, closed Sunday, Monday.
Mhm.
I suspect their permit might simply say that,
Mhm.
but again, even to them, I'd say
Mhm.
Sunday, Monday should be okay. If there's an event, they wanna, whatever it may be, right, gives you some flexibility.
Right.
It gives you the option.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
And especially if there's maybe a special event going on
Mhm.
and you know what, we should be open on Sunday. They're
Yeah.
doing a big street fair or something,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
You could feel it out as you
Yeah.
open.
I was mostly worried about how restricted, I think
Sure.
if we tell you this is the hour, this is the hours it is.
No, as
So,
long as you're shorter,
Okay.
if we give you long and then you shorten it up,
Oh,
you're
okay.
option.
And
Flexible.
to, as a single address property and a whole site plan, that really is on the landlord to determine how hours of operation affect availability of parking and the businesses that he's trying to, establish
Mhm.
tenants with.
Mhm.
And so, again, I would say just apply for more.
Yeah.
And
Just let the record note, there is no site plan for that property.
duly noted, which speaks to the whole idea of doing something between and not having, just looking at an overhead now. How you get beer from the front door to the back door, where there is no back door, like those sorts of things are all walking around with a beer in public essentially on a
yeah.
space that isn't yours from a rented standpoint. Anyway, so just things to consider.
Yeah.
But otherwise, this is really great. And this is a legal question, Jeff, and maybe you guys can fill me in. When you acquired the rights to Copper Leaf, and are taking over the space, this was a asset purchase, not an entity purchase,
It's an
right?
asset.
Okay, and that's the reason why the special permit doesn't go with it. Okay, great, thank you.
So it is this board's job to make sure this use fits in with where they want it. It's not really up to the landlord to plan all of the impacts on the parking and so forth. And this board could condition this permit on whatever it thought appropriate in terms of sheltering the adjacent neighbors. I'm not sure off the top of my head what that would be. But it's really up to this board to make this use fit where it is. It's presumed to be able to be a fit, but subject to the conditions this board might place on it. This is a pre-existing non-conforming use as it presently exists, or as it was presently operated. And now it's becoming a specially permitted use because of the restaurant aspect of this, the food preparation.
And you're also expanding on what was the pre-existing and non-conforming condition.
So that's why they need a special permit. Because
Right.
They can't expand that use. They could open just like Copper Leaf tomorrow
Mhm.
without any kind of permitting whatsoever.
So just because of the restaurant piece, and then you said what other piece?
No rest
Just
of
the
it.
restaurant, that's it, okay.
So that's a great point. Just to reiterate, you could open as a brewery tomorrow. It's the added elements that you couldn't start with until.
You get the
Special use permit,
Yeah.
and it really should be special use. permit.
Right, well, yeah, I mean, the fact that they're gonna expand a pre-existing non-conforming, they can't do that, so they have to apply
has to
for a
be.
special permit. As a restaurant, like bar did up that way.
Yeah,
Great.
and that's not a bad thing.
So, but that also,
Just so you know, it's good.
that brings with it the ability to condition the use.
Mhm.
So I have another question. So say they get the special permit tonight and they start
Well,
brew.
It would be
Oh, they have to go to
amending
public
and moving
hearing.
it to public
Right,
hearing.
okay, so say they get the special permit at the end, and then they decide they don't want to do food. They could still serve beer, right?
Why did they start by the end of September? before the.
Oh, before, so, okay, got
And
it.
can you explain that in further, why that date is important? I think what we looked at September 30th, was it?
It's no longer important if they're going to be a restaurant.
No, but just
But
if they only serve beer,
Yes,
why that it's only valid for the
Because
6 months?
it has, that use has lapsed effective the end of March. You can only have a pre-existing non-conforming use lapse for 5 months and 28 days or 29 days, whatever it is, 29 number of months. Number of days of the month. So, at the end of March 31st, they have until September 30th.
So just, go ahead.
But they can operate it as a restaurant.
Oh, yeah, totally. But it just, if you were just to only be what Copperleaf was with no food, the whole thing, you would have to be up and running by
By
September
September
30th, because otherwise that pre-existing non-conforming use expires. That's all we're saying. We just want you to be aware of that. But you're serving food and you're gonna be a restaurant.
Don't change your mind.
Yeah, we like a menu. Come on.
do you have any ideas of when you want to open?
My liquor application's been in for 2 weeks, so we're expecting a permit, temporary permit in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So just to close the circle on the whole difference between a permitted pre-existing non-conforming use and a specially permitted use. The first comes with an absolute right, the second comes with a probably right subject to conditions of this board. So it's the restaurant piece that's giving you control of how it fits into the neighborhood.
So if I understand correctly, does that mean that as a brewery with the hours that we suggested, this would be approved?
No, it's permitted,
Permitted,
subject to a building permit.
okay, so it would be permitted, including the time and the thing that's really at issue is whether or not we can serve food.
When you serve food, then you bring all of the. I mean, when you filled out this application. There's a bunch of things that were in there, the conditions about special use permits and so on and so forth. That's what, it's the restaurant piece that brings all of those into play.
Or said differently, if you were just literally reopening Copperleaf today, you wouldn't, it would
You
be
wouldn't be
permitted,
here.
you'd be good to go,
The only problem,
except for the building.
yeah, the only problem with that is that when you open a brewery or any bar, you are required to serve some kind of food.
Well, I mean, that's between you and the liquor authority.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
But-
the state. We don't handle the
That's
liquor.
liquor.
Exactly, but yeah, but to comply with liquor license, to have a business,
So
I need to comply with them and
Yes.
comply with you.
it's when your level of food preparation a lot rises to the level of being a restaurant. As we now find it in this community that brings along like issues.
But don't get us wrong, we like the fact that you're having food.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
food, people like to have
Yeah.
lots of food options, so
It's just a.
don't let that go. Yeah.
Okay, so. I mean, the next step would be to move this to public hearing. We would have to amend it with some of, if you're,
Time changes.
yeah, your time changes, your days of the week.
Anything that Steve needs in terms of the build up.
Oh,
Yeah, we need the kitchen aspect really sort of
Yeah.
nailed down to that. And that all should be resolved before a public hearing, so everyone has the information. We also recommend that, and Steve can help you with this, reaching out to the fire department about the right of way. That's a concern that trustee Lindbeck has expressed. So let's, nail that down with first responders, for the outdoor seating, just to make sure. And I think they would want to look at that too, if they want to do the seating in the back as well, when
I
Charlie comes.
don't think you can grant the seating in the back
Yeah,
of this
it's not that.
application.
Yeah.
Charlie would have
But
to come in.
nonetheless,
You're not leasing it or not, it's not gonna be part of the specially permitted area.
Yeah.
It's not part of your.
but I was
lease.
saying if Charlie comes in and wants that,
Charlie comes in and wants something, it's a whole different.
that's what I was starting to say, though, then it would be, he would have to go through first responders, take a look,
Well, we'd have to go through a site plan. application.
Yes, totally, but I'm just saying, for that piece, that's not part of what this is.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. Okay. Any other questions or comments for our friends here?
So is our timing correct that we could move this to public hearing for our next meeting? Do you think we can get all this done by then?
What date works?
The next full meeting of the board is
Mhm.
August 12th,
August 12th.
so it'd be.
About a month.
Yeah, we're on a summer schedule here. August 12th.
Does that work
It'll
for
be
you
a
guys?
public hearing. What are you thinking?
So. Do we do this in double steps? So can I open the brewery, just the brewing part, and then we put a hearing for the
For
food?
the
part?
restaurant.
Well, you have to get a building, you have to get the
It's up
bill.
to Steve.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
up to Steve in terms of.
yes, the answer is that yes, and subject to
Building inspector.
the building inspector's review of what you want to do. You don't need any permit from this board, but you will not be able to have food.
Yes, definitely, I
Until
understand.
But
that.
I see where you're going, like,
Yes.
get it up and running kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Reintroduce. Yeah.
That's the.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that, which is great, and the community will love it.
I think the liquor license for brewery only is different than on-site, but talk to them about that.
So there's a special farm, he's getting a farm brewery
Yeah.
license.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, farm brewery and a nano brewery.
Okay.
so we could move it to public hearing and you could do your thing with,
Okay.
you know, reopening Copper Leaf. As a brewery,
Okay.
okay, and, you know, get all these other pieces put in place for us before then, you know, we can keep moving it forward. You know,
Okay.
so you can get your business up and running. What date is it again? I'm sorry.
August 12th, and it would be at 6 p.m.
August 12th at 6 p.m.
Make a motion, we move the application to the public hearing on August 12th at 6:30 or 6.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Time certain.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Hall,
Hi.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Hi,
motion passes.
okay. Copper Brewery is back in action. Copper Leaf Brewing Company is back in action.
So do we have to, do we have to make another motion for the rest of the piece? Or that's the public hearing? Okay, because for the brewery, we don't.
No,
Okay.
we're not, they're brewing already. Thanks so much. Delightful to meet you both. Good luck with it all. Can you hand this over to Dorothea? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay, next up is the setting of the public hearing to amend the local law on the rental registry. Jeff had sent those revisions. Thank you, Jeff.
Well,
Yeah. You got everything in there. Are there any questions about this for Jeff? And it would be the same date.
Same date and time.
Okay.
Except I was looking at 26 when I wrote this.
What were you looking? I'm sorry.
I wrote the wrong.
Oh, okay.
Ignore my notes, when I put the notes.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any, I didn't have any.
Okay, is there a motion?
I make a motion to move this local law and rental registry to a public hearing on August 12th at 6 p.m. Have a second?
Second,
Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilkes,
aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe,
Bye.
trustee Limbeck,
Right.
Mayor Plummer,
Ah,
motion passes.
okay, we're cruising now. Next up, the discussion and the review of code on lit village signage.
Yeah, so I think that all of you saw the letter that I sent to the HPV in regards to their involvement, whether they'd like to be involved in the discussion about our signage code. The chair is extremely busy, as you know, he has twins that are very active right now, and he didn't really get to see the letter and get to his board yet. So he is going to look to see if they'd like to get involved with that. So I guess we either can talk about whether we do a special meeting to have a discussion or whether we wait until the 12th, or how you want to move forward on discussing our lighting code. So in other words, I think the answer yes or no, if you want to be involved.
When's the next HPP meeting? Do we know? Didn't it just happen?
I feel like they had
No,
one last- Was it planning last week?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
planning.
planning.
Yeah.
Their next
Yeah.
one.
I think they're
21st.
Yes, 21st.
The only other comment, you can't send this current changes that you made to public hearing because they didn't age in long enough.
Yeah, it hasn't aged.
So you have to.
For the signage or the
Yeah.
So the
signage code,
two issues. The lighted signs,
right?
which this attempts to deal with,
Mhm.
and then there's the general signage question,
So like open,
whether or not there is some historical criteria would help us determine, help not us, this board determine correct amount of signage to be on a building, on windows, on doors. And we're specifically, we mentioned the realtor listing of the realtor listings,
Mhm.
and the window is that appropriate signage. So.
So the first is the light up, the second is
Just
signage.
use the
The lighting.
signs, second is, I guess for lack of a better word, sign pollution.
so
And I see these
the second,
HPV helping you with the sign pollution, not the lighted signage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the lighted signage to me seems like it's just a
Definition.
depth, right?
Yeah,
It's a
just cleaning it up
definition.
really, so it's clear for people.
Right.
So I think the intent was to ask a question, are the lit small bulb, sort of little teeny Christmas, right? On the open signs, okay, until we address the bigger issue, and this, I believe, was addressing that as well, the backlit, what could be the backlit signs for real estate, and was there another sign? So there was one down.
Yeah.
no, it's real estate boxes at Howard Ham.
Yeah, the real estate boxes and the open lit, open signs.
Yeah,
Those
the
are the
two-
Oh,
Those
just
are
the spa state.
And there's
Yeah,
4 of them,
the-
right?
For the
For the
LED
sign.
open,
Yeah.
the LED diode.
Yeah, they're just a little teeny,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
So my question to Jeff, when I read this was, if an illuminated sign, shall be defined here and above and shall comply, any illuminated sign shall employ only lights emitting a light of constant intensity, fine. No other illumination shall be permitted, including but not limited to. Okay, so that's the catch-all. All right, never mind. I'm good. I mean, this basically gives Steve the ability to say, hey, we can't have those. And I don't think we want a bunch of lit open signs throughout the entire community. So let's nip it in the bud.
So what would be the sentence?
But-
What would be the sentence that would disqualify those? Because I'm not seeing it, because we took out the no sign shall be internally lighted.
Yeah, so,
To me, that,
Illuminated sign.
It's the definition,
Mhm.
okay,
it forces it to be an
Okay.
exterior
Yeah, see,
light source.
find an exterior light only, okay.
that
Okay,
covers it.
Perfect.
It
But
really
that,
covers.
but that also covers the real estate boxes too.
It does.
well, no, this is the part that covers the small bulb issue
Mhm,
and the real estate box.
Right,
No, this is the middle of that B. No other illumination shall be permitted, including but not limited to, and there should be, I think, a comma after permitted, but, so if you illuminate a sign with bulbs that are in it,
right.
then
That's not
it
allowed.
catches it all.
The definition, I feel like.
Yeah, the definition.
No, because when you're saying an illuminated sign, right? Illuminated sign shall be defined here and shall comply with. So all this is saying is, this is what an illuminated sign is.
Yeah.
Right, and this is how it's gonna be governed. But the key to excluding it was the no other illumination, right? Because, yes, you're right, what I'm
Yeah, but we
talking
have
about,
only at the top, which is exterior light only.
but
Yeah.
there's other types of signs. So.
Yeah, but
right,
Not
we're
light up.
using illuminated sign as a defined term here.
Yeah, but
Anyway, doesn't matter.
So the point is,
it covers.
it covers it.
As
So let
long
me
as
ask-
long as it's clear to people reading it,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's
It
more
adds
than we have
more.
a clarity.
So let me ask you this, because this could be an issue, because Steve had brought this up. In JBC Noodles, on the inside of their, when you first walk into that little alcove,
Mhm.
they have an illuminated sign that says their name. Now,
Mhm.
it's not in the window, but the windows are the doors, but you still have to walk into that space.
But
Is that
that's an
considered
interior space.
Yeah.
an
It's
interior?
an interior space.
Okay,
They should be allowed to have.
all right.
Yeah,
Now, is there still a question of having a meeting with the HPP to discuss sign and sign?
Yeah, so that's step
That's
two.
the second-
That is number two.
One is, let's just make sure that
Celebration.
Steve can go out and say, hey, these signs
Are illuminated.
aren't good.
Hardly, yeah.
They were intended to not be good, somehow they've gone up, now we've corrected it enough for Steve to feel like he has the authority. Step two is, let's talk about everything else.
Sign pollution,
General kind of.
and then
update.
whether we want to, yeah. take a look
yeah, and
at
I
it.
do think it'd be good for the HPV to weigh in on that.
Yeah.
And so their meeting is in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I will talk to.
You
them
know.
again.
But then also you said this has aged long enough anyway.
And this hasn't
current-
aged.
Proposed changes to the code haven't aged, so you can't set a public hearing tonight. That would
Mhm.
be August 12th. You could set that public hearing.
Yeah, so let's just put it, let's make sure it's on the
The
agenda.
agenda.
But it means we gotta-
Historic preservation. The, just a comment to the public, so the entire village is in a historic zone, which allows us to reflect on, sort of government perspective on what it means to be historic and how that applies to visual, architectural, and other things of that nature.
Yeah, I get that. I just know the abbreviation.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Like the old language and stuff like that. It doesn't change. But
Okay,
Right.
everybody good with that?
Good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Put it on the next agenda. Did you want a special meeting with the board?
Let me talk with Dan and.
Yeah, is that kind of driven by?
You wanna,
Play with
yeah,
it.
and also, you know, the board can weigh in either way, and then
Right.
maybe they can say, hey, let's all have a special
Yeah.
meeting and,
Okay.
you know.
Let's
They're gonna be part of it.
think through how they want to go about it. Maybe they want to have their own special meeting, maybe they want. It's reiterate.
Yeah,
Thank you. I still love to tease you, you know that.
It's fine.
Okay, next up, the gear fund. Okay, there's only one gear and it's the gear fund. It's the first year. Yeah, just so the public knows what the gear fund is, it's not about cars, it's GEARE, it's a family name. The fund was established, oh my goodness, in the early 1900s, I think it was. Yeah, and it was established by a family in the village who made a donation, so it would serve poorer residents in the community, you know, people in need, families in need. And the fund literally just sat there. And so the money is there, it's about $6,000 roughly. It's not a lot of money, we don't have a high poverty rate in the village, but we wanted to do something to dispense the funds somehow favorably in the community to at least reflect what the original intent was of the fund. So we brought it up at the last meeting. We had a couple of suggestions and then trustee Cove said, you know, let's all think about it and maybe we all have, you know, different ideas. One neighbor had mentioned to me because the Rotary is donating a park bench or a seating bench for the bus stop in the village, to maybe have some kind of little small bus shelter that would be within the character of the village, almost like a little tiny greenhouse look, you know, with finials or something, just to keep people out of the elements if they're waiting for mass transit, you know. I thought that was a nice suggestion too, and, you know, I still like the suggestion also to donate to Keeping Our Promise, which is a Pittsburgh-based organization that helps to relocate and settle families from Afghanistan who have helped our troops over there.
So is that the St. James one? Is that St. James? That's not the St. James refugee program?
Nope.
Cause I
It's
was
called
trying to look
Keeping
it
Our
up. I
Promise.
was trying to look it up and I
Yeah,
couldn't find it.
KOP, they started many years
Our
ago. They've
Promise.
been doing an incredible job. They've settled some of the families here in our village and also within our community. So, and
Based
it-
in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Huh, I couldn't find it.
yep, they have a website online. So, anyway, you know, there's a number of opportunities, I think, but, I agree with trustee Limbeck too. And, you know, instead of like parsing it to kind of make an impact somehow with
I
the
mean, it's not that-
6,000, you know.
Sure.
So it's not a big fund, but it'd be nice to do something like that with the money. Yeah.
So you had a neighbor who mentioned the
Yeah, just
covering
a
for the
little-
bench.
yeah,
That's a really good point. I
Yeah.
mean, you see, whenever driving that way in the
You
morning,
know,
seeing people, especially when it's a rainy day,
you know.
just getting soaked.
Yeah, and also we have, kids that, are in the urban suburban.
Yeah.
Program, and, they're waiting for the bus and, it could be blizzard. I mean, they didn't, now they're getting a bench. So why wouldn't we have something that's sort of, I mean, I really end up liking the idea. I can see both are, they're all good causes. But it's right in our village and we could do something within the character of,
Would there be a
Okay.
way, just going down that rabbit hole, would
Yeah.
there be a way to involve some of the, I don't know, local craftsmen who have been working on?
it has to meet requirements,
Yeah.
on a couple of different levels. One, for the Rochester Transit System. They would have to approve it, but they approve a number of really interesting bus shelter projects. If you look at Neighborhood of the Arts on
Yeah.
University Avenue, I mean, my favorite one is the umbrella. They have a lot of really cool sort of public art looking things, for bus shelters. So, I mean, I think they're willing to work with communities on it. And then the other, would be, I think, again, for NISTOC to approve as well, because it's on their right of way. And it wouldn't have to be a massive structure, because it's just the one little bench that's going in. And we also know that there's a house behind it, but if it's glass, it could be kind of great, yeah.
And the only reason why I bring that up
Yeah.
is trying to keep it all kind of like in-house.
Sure, yeah, no,
It's for local
yeah.
craftsmen, kind of ribbon cutting, all that. Different stuff.
RTS may have very they
Yeah.
would work with you, but they may have very specific guidelines for
What
parameters. that-
actually works.
Yeah, what can work, but I think it's, I think it's all solvable.
Mayor, may I,
Yeah.
intercede? The intention of this fund was to help Pittsford poor. That's specifically what it was stated to do. We have three not-for-profits here in Pittsford, the Food Cupboard, the Pittsford Rotary, and Pittsford Youth Services. Now, in the early 2000s, the board did give $200 each year, 2 years, to the Food Cupboard. So that was done then. I would like to just discuss as to, these are three great organizations that we already have in our community that do great work for Pittsford poor. I also think we have a resident here who wants to say something about another organization that's out of Pittsford. I would really like to keep it local.
I haven't recognized you yet, Jim. We're still discussing with the board, so thank you for coming, and we'll recognize you in a minute, okay?
So recognizing our three not-for-profits right here in Pittsford, Food Cover, the Pittsford Rotary, or the Pittsford Youth Services is where I would like to see it personally go.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Anybody thinking of any other ideas or?
No, I mean, look, I had a couple of residents who reached out after the meeting, and again, look, many of them know this exact same charities that were mentioned. I think the biggest thing is, I wonder how much, I don't know what their budgets are right now, how much they already receive in donations, how meaningful, how big this will be. It would be kind of interesting to see. In my opinion, something different, something unique, something that's, can have a lasting, instead of just a check, here's a check. But I really like the idea of a permanent impact, something where we can say, hey, this is what we approved, here's how we're helping, here's how we're changing our village. So I don't know, I personally really like the idea of the bench.
The shelter over the
shelter,
bench?
Yeah, shelter.
Yeah, I think could be kind of great. I think it may cost more than 6,000 at the end of the day, so there would be other, aspects of funding that the board would have to approve, but I kind of think it's been missing in our village. I've seen, people out there in blizzards,
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, if I remember correctly, that I had mentioned that that would be a nice addition to having some shelter. And I think at the time it was that's an RTS, not us. And we can't do it for them, comment. So if this, by it being a donation to somebody who then independently organizes it, and we just simply approve what it is. And this jumpstarts that process that we otherwise couldn't do, I'm on board. Outside of that, so that'd be my first priority. I think the average person who does ride the bus is probably of a different socioeconomic, and I would call it poor, but it is absolutely a vital service that we have in our community, and I think recognizing that means a lot.
And you want to support mass transit too. I mean,
100%.
so I mean, I think, there's a lot of good to that.
100%.
Okay, I'm sorry, finish your thought, and then I want to just follow up on the whole donation thing.
Yeah, the follow-up to that is, while this is, 100-year-old money, specific for Pittsburgh poor. While I appreciate your comments on wanting to have a unique, specific impact, I think at the end of the day, if you can feed people, that matters. I don't need to have my name on it. I don't need to have Pittsburgh Village's name on it. I don't need to be in any way associated, other than we're accomplishing the goal of somebody who gave to this community 100 years ago. And to that end, I think personally, the food cupboard makes the most sense, absent of the bus idea.
I have a question about the bus idea. If the bus shelter costs more than 6,000, what would we do then?
Well, it goes back to the donation component. So say like Rotary just donated the bench, okay, and we accepted that we will help install, we will oversee that and support that. So if we were to donate this to Rotary with the intention of it being further being used, you did the bench, now can we do this shelter? We'll support that as well, and we'll work with you. And
Help
so,
raise the rest of it.
and all that kind of stuff. So, I know that the food cupboard is well supported. And, as is Pittsburgh Youth Services, they're always, I mean, not that they're never looking for money, they always are, and they're gonna be happy with it. But there's such strong support and wonderful support in our community for that program. And I think something like the shelter, is something that's just been missing really in our community that can serve everybody. Anybody who wants to take a bus,
Yeah. And obviously, it's the hardest to implement, but at the same time, it's critical.
Yeah,
Like, it's a basic need.
yeah, it's basic. It is. It's a basic need and it serves everybody.
To that end, how long can we sit on this money if we defer back?
Another 100 years?
Another 3 years.
So,
Yeah.
okay. Kind of a running joke.
TikTok, act now.
Being that there's some work on your end that requires an accounting of it, is that correct?
Yes, there is work on my part. I've shifted the money out of CDs because I'm hoping for this for
Some sooner than later.
dispersation.
Okay.
It's been sitting there. We have no how to disperse it.
Right.
There
So it's
was
direction.
checks that were done to the food cupboard, but there was really nothing for me to follow when I looked at what to do with it. My thought is if you're getting 100, 200 a year away, we're never gonna disperse this fund. And it's not earning enough, it's earning interest, but it's not earning enough to be substantial. Can you wait a couple meetings? Absolutely.
Okay, I would
To
say,
do a little research.
Lisa, I believe you're the Rotary contact.
Yeah.
Does everybody here feel like trying to pursue some understanding of what
Sure, I'll talk
that
with the new
bus
president.
stop coverage might?
Yeah.
I mean, they're already in the process. I mean, they have to work with RTS on the bench.
Yes, they
So
know.
why not-
they know the
Okay.
contact.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk to,
But
Look at
yeah.
what that would include in.
I just want to make sure that the DPW liaison isn't a viable option.
What?
Otherwise, with it.
Johnny, hit us with the.
When you least expect it. Indeed.
I'm not reporting that.
So, and one other comment,
Life is hard, John.
so I would like to reflect the mayor, this just from the food coverage website, but in 1998, when the food cupboard opened, they served about 5 to 10 households a week.
Mhm.
Now they serve over 4,000 in a year, 6,400 people.
Yep.
And my only comment is every dollar matters. If that number turns to 6,425,
Mhm.
then we did good work.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but I prefer the bench idea and the coverage first.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. I mean,
I'm not
there's no
anti-food.
downside to any of this. There's,
I
it's not their shelf. I mean,
advocating, that's
I
all.
know. No, and it's a wonderful organization. They do really good work. Yeah.
Do we?
Okay, so the action item then is
Still
to,
want to hear from you.
right here. No.
Oh, yeah.
oh, June,
Sorry, Sam.
you've been waiting patiently. Please come up. Name and address for the record, please.
Mike 11 East Jefferson Circle. And I was here at the last meeting when this was first brought up.
Mhm.
And by the time I had left, I realized, I got an idea and I passed it over to Lisa to just bounce it to her. First Presbyterian Church, well over a decade ago, started a backpack program
Mhm.
to address the hungry needs of the students down in the city. They were the ones who were being fed in the schools 3 meals a day and went home on the weekends to empty refrigerators. So we started to do a program which currently is sending 42 backpacks into two of the schools down there, 35 and 54, so that they have some food they can take home on the weekend, and then they bring them back. And although I think the updated version is they had a problem always getting the packs back because they were trying to reuse them, and I think they've gone over to plastic. But anyways, we got them food. I was surprised to hear that in recent times, we're now doing the same thing here in Pittsburgh schools. And I was really surprised at that. We're sending food home with kids on Fridays. Currently it's 22. In addition to that, because Pittsburgh does not serve breakfast meals, 9 of the schools are receiving packages for kids to feed them some kind of a breakfast in school in the morning. So, yeah, that need is here. And our church continues to gather up the foods. We work in concert with the food cupboard for some of our foods. And they coordinate through, Food Link and so on. So we've got a lot of resources, but that's one way we certainly, anything that could be considered through the church, we would run with that. We don't select students, the schools do. And keeping our promises, yes, another excellent one. They rent former manse of our church at a preferred rate. And we've got all kinds of programs that we also work with them. So that's
Yeah, it's good work.
definitely
Yep.
right here in the village.
We have a public comment.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
really
good
to
work.
know, yeah.
Ready?
Mhm.
Ms. Diaz, you're able to speak?
Yeah, hi, this is Emily Diaz at 81 South Street. I also just wanted to voice support for funding the Pittsburgh Food Cupboard, and or the backpack program. Full disclosure, I used to work at Food Link. I couldn't catch his name. I don't know if that's Mr. Testa who was just speaking, but I'm very familiar with both of those programs. And I just think in light of the SNAP funding that is happening, also known as food stamps, if you're not familiar with that program, there's going to be increased need in our community. And I think this would be a great use of funds to be proactive in that. I know the food cupboard also used to have a program, like an adopt a shelf program, that maybe the village wants to adopt a shelf. Maybe you could be a drop-off collection site for food. So if you want to do more than just send a one-time check, you could set up a long-term partnership and get more community members donating to the food cupboard and or the backpack program.
Yeah, thanks, Emily. All good input. Yeah, I'm familiar with the Adopt a Shelf program. I was part of that program for many, many years. So it would be not only the $6,000 check, then it would be us making it a longer term commitment.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing? I mean, right now we're focusing, what do we do with the gear fund?
Yeah.
It's been hanging around for 100 years, so, David.
It's okay by us, Jim. Just
Yeah,
quick-
sure, yeah, sure.
For the students that are in Pittsburgh School District that you've noticed now are running into, food insecurity issues. Your church or the church is helping them actively right now. Is that correct?
Right, during the school year,
During the school year?
right.
Okay.
Every weekdays, I guess now.
About how much, do you have any idea how much to that census, that kind of population costs to provide that food or provide that support? Just trying to get an understanding of how far something like this would even go.
Yeah, I could look into that for you. By using the food links and so on, you can't get a better price. You can't go to a Walmart or, a Costco and buy the stuff yourself in most cases. So,
Kind of
that department just means so much.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Can I ask also, how were the kids identified? Was it through the school system reaching out?
Yeah, when we go to the schools, the schools are
Yeah.
the ones that know their kids.
Yeah, yeah, that's what-
They're
so-
having learning problems, what's the
Okay.
root cause of that, what's the
Mhm.
problem, you start to find out it's a home environment and this.
Other
becomes
issues
one
going on.
Solution.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, all good stuff. So, I mean, I think we have a lot of good ideas and I appreciate everybody's input, you know, I mean, it's not a bad idea, you know. It's just, you know, what do we do with it? I don't know that we necessarily have to decide tonight. I mean, it's been hanging around for 100 years. Should we do some of the research anyway to see about the shelter? Let's
Yeah.
circle back on some of the, you
Yeah,
know.
It's
other-
almost like, can we
Yeah.
still do the
Can we
road?
still do
maintenance?
stuff?
Yeah,
to Rotary, you
I'll talk
know,
to Rotary about
that kind of
shelter.
thing.
So,
Just so we get a little more information and then bring it
Okay.
back, you know?
Next agenda, or you wanna, the August 12th?
Yeah,
for a report.
Sure.
Okay.
Put it back on.
yeah, I don't, you know, I don't think it's a heavy lift. I think it's a few phone calls.
Dorothea, how many people online, please?
We were at 3, we went down to 2.
Thanks.
Okay, next up. Update, improvements to village.
That is me.
That's you, here, yes, it's David.
You know.
Improvements to village communications, resident
I don't
engagement.
know why, I
processes.
sent you the longest like agenda
Yeah,
item
that's-
title.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Well, thanks, Jim.
All right, so this should be a quick update. Effectively, at the May 27th meeting, again, I kind of brought up the idea that now that we have a new IT company coming in, Virgidel, that this is probably a great time to take a look at, you know, our new website and areas where we may want to make little changes, how it could be more easier.
We're gonna drag you right into this, you know,
Exactly.
you're bringing it up, you know, we're not letting you
I'm-
off the hook
As
now.
an IT liaison, make sure I talk to the people. So, so effectively from May 28th, you know, day after the meeting through July 6th. So I received feedback from residents, 26 different residents reached back out to me from 17 different households. The feedback that I got was relatively, you know, consolidated. There were kind of 4 key areas that they really want to focus on. The first one was convenient and transparent request submission system with follow-up options. Meaning,
Mhm.
I know that we have the existing contact, if you go to the contact part of the website, you can go over to the left side and say, hey, do you have a question for DPW, for?
Right.
They found it a little bit clunky in the sense of if you look down at, and I'll talk about this afterwards, the request for feedback for the refuse district, people love that. I don't know who designed that, but it is much clearer in terms of, hey, you know, provide your information. What do you talk, you know, how would you like to be, you know, contacted afterwards? So, you know, people said, is there any way to just like, why are there all these separate pages? Just consolidate that into one thing and say, hey, contact.
We read,
With the drop down.
we're so on this because that was actually the template that came.
Yep.
You know, in other words, we have just the template dropped in on it, so you're.
That's what I was like,
so
it
on
looked
this,
like it was
Pine
like-
County.
yeah.
This is now where we go back in and go, one
Exactly.
stop,
One stop
Right.
shop,
yeah,
that way it can go, you know,
Yep.
you select the radio button for DPW,
Yep.
it goes to that person, right?
Right.
And it also helps us with just being able to track for, you know, record keeping and all that.
exactly.
The next one was a huge, like pretty much everyone asked for this. So an area somewhere on the website where there's a progress update for construction projects.
Mhm.
So literally there's like a section where it says village, you know, construction projects. What's going on? That way people can just go straight to the website and it's real time. You don't have to send out mail. We don't have to call anybody. They don't have to come to the meetings and say, what the heck's going on with X, Y, Z.
We totally understand it and we agree.
There we go. Okay, and then the next thing was effectively an implementation of, now this is probably a little bit of wishful thinking, but an official post-meeting update from the village. I had a lot of residents who said they love to hear from, you know, I have people say, hey, I love your recap emails after the meetings. I see Lisa's Facebook updates,
Okay.
but some of them are kind of like, look, you know, I don't want it just from one of you guys. Like, I'd love for it to be just, here's what happened. you know.
So it's not about the meeting minutes or anything like that. You know, in other words, I want to understand a little bit more about
Because
that.
you have effectively some people who are like, look, I've had people say, look, even though you moved the time of the meeting.
Right.
It's still to either I'm working until.
So they wouldn't
6
read the minutes.
So I'm not able to. or the
So they
minutes-
want to get another bulletin?
Or the minutes come.
I'm trying to understand, do they want to, okay, so
So
they,
they want, so like, Lisa, you send out your recap the next day.
no, I understand the recap part. They want it on the website as a recap in addition to minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
because
that's all
minutes
I
are
wanted to
very,
understand.
minutes are very,
No, it's a matter of record. Yeah,
right?
okay.
All right, let me see if I can address this.
But I can see the wheels start, because I know you're sitting there saying the extra level of.
I agree, there's an extra level of requirement on staff to get that done, which is huge. Minutes are huge for this board
Yep.
because,
Minutes are huge.
so we have two options. We can shorten the minutes and the way we do the minutes even further,
Mhm.
okay? That would produce them faster instead of having two sets, you know, doing a recap and that, because even to get to the recap, that's taking hours at a time. You know, it's not quick for us.
Why don't we do this? Let's bring this back internally and let's talk about it internally.
I'm not, I
We're not
understand
gonna
what.
solve it right now. This is good feedback and really good input from residents.
It's not trying to get anything.
Yeah,
No, so we'll, but
But-
that, can you put that down as an action item?
yeah,
That we want to look at this internally about how we can,
Because that also
Look at that as a
make it
recap.
easier in terms of minutes.
Well, our
So
minutes-
things like that.
what minutes are required is motions and seconds. We go beyond that. We try to give a little more flavor. But sometimes I still feel like we give a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
And maybe we could back that off and that would produce the minutes.
that's why, in the interest of moving the meeting along right now, we're gonna look at this internally,
Yep.
because I think it is solvable, and I think we have a way to do that. Yeah, and the next one?
I spent some good time on it. We didn't have to rush through this.
No, I
Okay.
love that. This is great, though. This is really helpful.
Yeah, so then the next thing is better marketing to residents of the ability to sign up for the actual village newsletter. So I've had a lot of residents who are like, hey, literally, I have a quote that says the village should put a bright colored paper in the next tax or sewer bill, telling people they can sign up for the newsletter right on the website,
Sorry.
The mailed newsletter or the emailed newsletter?
the email.
The email.
The bulletins, when you sign up for our bulletins.
The bulletin.
The only reason I'm laughing is that we have put it in as an insert in every single.
In every color format that you.
But we
I-
put
I
it in
say-
a colored piece of paper.
I
I'm just laughing because it's.
I have those same colored piece of paper.
I do.
Clearly, all I'm saying.
No,
Not trying to attack you guys, but
No,
what I'm
no.
saying is clearly it's not, something's not registered for
Okay.
residents, right? Because
It's not
still
getting,
getting,
we're
it's
not getting,
through, right?
we're not getting that message. out.
I know,
Sometimes
we gotta come up
So
with
you gotta come
something
up
else.
We gotta come up with something else.
Maybe end up with confetti.
Because the
Okay.
issue, because on the flip side, I also hear from everyone saying, well, if you send the emails, why don't they, I would send it in the bulletin. But if they're not signed up, they don't know what they don't know, right? So there are a lot of people who don't visit our, we do, we're amongst in the
Yeah.
political
And
aspect.
I will say though, because I get the constant contact updates, I am seeing people signing up. So we are seeing.
Oh, yeah,
and
we've seen them
been
every single week.
actively recruiting in the office. So we are pushing it, but
Mhm.
I
I,
agree with you.
all I'm saying is,
It's
in the last month, this is
The
what. people-
message still isn't there.
We can totally do
So-
better, so this is all good. and I
Did you
appreciate
do
that.
like a monkey survey for this? How did you get this input? You just requested and just had.
I tried.
Lots of
People know, I see people
Okay.
coffee shops.
Yeah, you will see the
All over
coffee
the
guy,
place, you know?
yeah.
So that was really it. And then the only other thing is question for you on the constant contact. I went in, because I'm already signed up for it, but I noticed it doesn't have any address requirement information in there. I'm just thinking from a database standpoint, right? In terms of understanding, like, if I were to ask you, how many people in the village are signed up for our newsletters? I don't know if we know that answer, right?
Let me see
Like
what I
active
can.
residents in the, like, I don't.
Oh, active residents, no, I can't.
Get what I mean?
No,
Because
it doesn't parse it that way. I don't-
Does-
So all I was gonna say is that if we were to add those potential entry fields as a. If you're, doesn't
We
matter if
would-
you live in the village. or
we
you
might
don't.
gather more info. We
You
can
can
look
gather more
at doing it.
information.
I'm not sure how Alexandria was.
So let's
getting
make that
that.
another internal action
Yeah.
item to just take a look at some of the finer cuts of that. Because I know there's so many people who sign up who who used to live here and
Used to,
want to stay,
exactly.
you know, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, the start of the constant contact came from a list I received over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly, so that's what I figured, is that it's like, how can we fine tune,
Mhm.
okay, we have.
Okay,
5%
another action
of the
item.
village signed up for our newsletters,
Mhm.
Correct.
something like that.
David, how many people did you say you talked to? I know you said 17
So it
households.
was 26 actual residents and then across 17 households, so some
Okay, thank
cases it
you.
was a.
Yep.
Husband and wife.
Different.
Good job.
No,
Great.
thank you for that. That's really
Awesome.
great. Okay, so we have some additional business to take care of. I make a motion that we go into an executive session.
Attorney client. Attorney.
You want attorney-client? Okay, attorney-client session.
I second.
Do I have to state the reason?
Trustee, no.
I don't have to state. I do?
Well, I'm sorry?
At an attorney-client, I don't have to state the reason. Am I correct?
No,
Yes, okay.
I get to talk to you whenever you want.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And we-
Trustee
yes.
Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Wills?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Hi.
Trustee Limbeck?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're gonna have to hit the pause for a little bit here. Okay.
Big people.
Yeah, I think they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you need them for a member item or anything, but. No, I think we're good. Thanks so much, Jeff. Anything for Jeff before we release him to the universe?
Dave.
No, summer schedule.
Really? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Wow.
guys. Okay,
See you.
all right. Thanks again, Jeff. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
evening. All righty, so, no building inspector report.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, if I could just interject for the building inspector, I had my first meeting down at Westport Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Manning's, Boyers, Hennig.
Yeah.
And Mark IV on Monday. And I got the tour of where we're at. There is gonna be a restaurant, but it's gonna be in phase 2 and it's gonna be at the clubhouse. They're in phase 1 right now, which is the first 3 buildings. They'll open November of 26. But they are going to have the site amenities all set for the first phase while
Yeah.
they're building phase 2 and 3. I followed that up with a discussion with Scott Harder, because Mark IV is saying that the responsibility for the water line to the project is Monroe County Water Authority. And Jeff Harder says that it's the
Scott Harder.
responsibility of Mark IV.
Ooh,
And we're going to be asking for water flow tests on that to make sure there's a life safety issue.
mhm,
That
Yeah.
they've got to be able to
Yeah.
provide the sprinkler flows they advertise. And we want to make sure they can do that, so that there's going to be a little more communication between me and Mark IV
mhm.
and the Monroe County Water Authority. But we've reestablished that Steve can go on site whenever he wants to.
Okay.
And we're going to look at the validity of the reports that we're getting from Mark IV.
And do we want to circle back with the fire department about the water pressure to reach, wasn't there a concern?
They're gonna be part of the
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah, they remember that for reaching higher floors. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you for that. No, that's
So,
great.
so John, you're saying phase 1 is going to be complete November 2026?
Yes.
Mhm.
And then phase 2 will be in process at the same time,
Yes.
in that the food will be actually at the club.
Right,
Right.
that's in the restaurant.
Phase 2.
That's all, yeah.
And I verified there's gonna be no electrical vehicle charging in the underground garage, because that's a big bugaboo right now in New York. So,
Gotcha.
There
Yeah,
will be none. you said?
no, because of the potential for fire, and then you're
Yeah.
underneath a stick-built building.
would they do it outside on any on
They
street?
could.
They-
That's
could.
right, but there's issues with electric vehicle parking. I think it was Webster or Penfield put in 30 stations for their buses,
Mhm.
purchased the buses, and RG&E doesn't have capacity to feed that.
There's,
So they're sitting there with a big
Yes.
diesel generator generating electric power.
oh, yeah, like, go figure.
So
That's a big issue
Yeah.
of what the grid can handle.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna have underground electric vehicle charging.
Yeah, no, but thanks for
Great,
that.
thank you.
That's a good one. Okay, the DPW report, we sort of just, went over a few things there. Things are
We
looking
need to come
good.
back
Hmm?
from the attorney session?
Hmm?
Do we need to come back from the attorney session?
Oh, you did make the motion to come out of it, didn't you?
No, you didn't.
Oh,
No,
I think we should. I mean,
Okay.
thank you, good catch.
Thanks.
And now see if Jeff and Sadie would have reminded us, so I make a motion, we leave
Yeah.
attorney-client session, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Oh, that's a stereo.
Okay, trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall,
aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Hi,
motion passed.
okay, now we're really back officially.
You
It's a
need-
never ending attorney session.
We don't need to make a motion to include everything we just talked about in
It'll
the,
be fun.
No,
Okay.
it's,
very good.
the world continues to
Yep.
move forward here. Yes, indeed. Okay, so treasurer's report.
You have the bill pays in front of you. Again, we're running 2 sets of vouchers, one for last year and one for the
Yeah.
current year. Is there any questions? Like, didn't see anything that was really crazy, so.
So my question wasn't on what we're paying in the vouchers, but it was what we talked about privately, and I just wanted to be out there for the public. There was a time where these vouchers were included in the public packet. At some point in the past, I remember, but they haven't been
Not
for,
since I've been
since
doing
we've
it.
been doing it.
No.
Okay. So then,
Not even-
and that's a NICOM, or is that a New York State, or is it just?
It's part of FOIL. It's an everyday occurrence with our financials. It doesn't need to be in there. It's.
This
standard
is vendors
practice.
and other.
It's just our vendors and.
So the voucher list and what we're actually paying day over day, is recommended not to be in the public packet.
Mhm,
Due to many factors, yes.
mhm,
Okay, and that's
Yeah.
NICOM mostly?
mhm.
NICOM,
Yeah,
it's just been out there forever. I mean, since packets came out. It was
Okay,
one of those things that was deemed that really didn't hit it. It shouldn't be on.
okay,
And
great.
the cause might,
Okay, thank you.
but they are full. So
mhm,
Yep.
yeah, everything is.
Yep, okay.
Okay, so, motion, anything? Other questions?
Make a motion to approve the bill pay as presented.
Second.
okay, trustee Wilkes,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get water.
I have 2 things. Let me get back. First, trustee Coe requested that we hang the bicentennial flag, if I can speak.
Oh,
Oh, that,
So where we hang the pride flag that we, for Pride Month, would be great for us to hang, for the next couple months until the bicentennial, just to get people excited about the fact that we're big participants this year and what do you think?
Just takes a board motion and then we can get it on.
I make a motion to hang the bicentennial flag in front of city or front of Village Hall.
Yeah,
What's the term? I guess until,
we can, well, is the Pride down now?
Pride's down.
So maybe we put that up August, September? What do you think? August, September, so that people
what
can,
is the day?
September 27th is when the Seneca Chief comes in, but the Canal Fest is going on all summer.
it's pretty much,
August, September.
yeah, through, I guess, the actual celebration.
August,
Yeah, to
September.
the end of, yeah, so maybe August 1st to September 30th.
Sure.
Sure.
We had a motion. I got a
There.
motion. I don't have a second.
Just.
So, just so you know, we're,
We're
I
hanging
made a
a flag.
motion to effectively have us hang the flag for the bicentennial in
Oh, yeah.
Village Hall
Great.
until
Yeah.
September 30th.
I second.
Okay. All right, trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Limbeck,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Wilkes.
Aye.
Motion passes. The other thing I have for the board, it's been under second cover, is related to the refuse district. I won't get into the names because we said we wouldn't do that, but I had one resident who owns 2 properties. In the past, they've shared refuse service, a tote, and he doesn't feel he needs the 2 totes and he doesn't want to pay for 2 services. So I can't waive the
Well,
fee. So it's up to the board whether they want to.
But he's never used.
No,
two
no, that's not
services.
there
Is
yet.
that one? Oh, it's the other one.
But-
Okay, sorry.
I got
Got you.
So 2 separate properties?
2 separate properties. He uses the same totes as his tenant uses. And they only need 1 set.
Are they next to each other? Are they connected? Do we know?
They've always shared the same service. is
Yeah,
what it is.
what it
Am I
is, but
correct?
the addresses are next to each other.
We're managing
Is that it?
exception.
Yeah,
Every
I
meeting.
know, exactly.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
becoming,
that's because we've implemented a new district and it's the first time.
I
And
get
it's
what
not
you
gonna be
said.
forever.
I think the first set was some that ended up on properties that shouldn't have ended up on.
Yes,
yeah, that
that
needs
was
to,
the
That was
administrative
different, that
errors.
was different. These are issues, and actually, this gentleman did come to the meeting and express this concern. I said I would let you know, and you can make. a
They're two
decision.
separate addresses,
Two separate
separate
addresses,
addresses,
two
two
separate
separate
tax
phones.
lives.
two separate tax IDs. They should be separate. Same.
I, one pickup, I make a motion to approve the exception.
Of course you
Yeah,
do.
well, I mean, you're right, though, it's one pickup.
I mean, I go by what I said before, so I'll put the motion out there.
They've never done it any other way, was what I think I was trying to say, that they,
Right,
for decades, have just had two houses next to each other.
Correct.
That just use,
So they're right next
Share
to
the
each other.
codes.
They're right next to each other, two houses.
correct.
Yes.
This is where I wish Jeff was still here, because I'd like to have something that describes what the acceptable exceptions are gonna be.
yeah,
so let's
The
do this, let's
acceptable
defer.
exceptions. are
Yeah,
up.
we
Yeah,
defer.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
I
defer, let's
agree.
defer based
I-
on
good job.
legal counsel's input.
Okay, this one will be.
Okay, that's an action item.
Okay, this is a trick question. Do you want me to bring it up August 12th, or do you want me to bring it up at our quick bill pay meeting?
Which is
If
when,
Bill paid, Jeff can.
If Jeff-
We can get Jeff
Give it-
happy.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
resolve it.
is it at the end of the month?
Hmm.
All right,
When's our bill pay?
so, my motion dies, I suppose.
there was no second.
There's no second. No, no.
Second it died.
Oh, then it's croaked, I'm sorry.
Anyway, is this, 2 weeks from now?
The
Yeah,
bill
when
pay,
we-
is-
when we
bill
do
pay
that.
is 2 weeks from now.
Okay,
That's I believe, a new meeting. It's just for the purpose of bill pay.
Yeah.
What day is that?
so I won't be here. I would,
Do I have three?
Tuesday.
you know,
You say the what? I didn't get the 22nd? At noon?
One.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the
Wait, what do you
22nd.
think?
Colorado.
Why was that?
Yeah.
I mean,
As long as I have three, somebody.
Yeah, we just need a quorum,
I'm here.
Yeah, but
but you
And you
didn't
want to
even
vote
vote
against
before
it?
that.
it might be the deciding.
Oh,
Wishful
he
thinking.
wants to be here.
We'll have to bring it up again. So my question is, if we can let the resident know.
I will,
That a decision will be made in a month, can we do this August 12th instead?
that's up to the board. I'll be
I
happy.
mean, you guys are welcome to bring it up without me, but
He feels so.
All right, I'll put it on for August 12th.
Okay.
You have a cardboard cutout.
oh, that would be great. A little like. I,
You know,
That's
the
the only-
fingers keep coming
Yeah.
here.
Okay,
know?
next resident,
Take your waitress on the way out.
never had refuse service, which.
Oh, yeah.
Goes in the code, is a code issue. You should have, but they have made alternative. Ways of taking care of the refuse, and he doesn't want the refuse district, nor does he want to pay for the service because he's not gonna use it.
yeah, that's not a code violation, not to have refuse.
It
It is.
is. It's
When you're in a
code.
district,
He
No, no,
also,
this is part of
and
the
just
district.
so you
Right,
know,
you're in a
he
district.
provided the information I included to you under separate cover about it. He felt it was a violation, so.
Yep.
He's incorrect in his assumption, according to Jeff, but Jeff also said if you have never used it, you're not even gonna use it. You know, he weighed in on that, as I recall, I think.
Yes, he did. He was another one that was at the public hearing.
Yeah,
And Jeff is okay with these
Yeah.
exclusions. All these exclusions from what Jeff has said before is. We have a right to exclude individual tax IDs from the refuse district, provided that they don't get service from some other means.
exactly, and if they do, then they're fine, you know, then
I mean, if they're driving it out on their own, because they
that's what,
carry it
some
back
people do.
like 2 months. like,
yeah, that's
Perfect.
what some people do.
If everybody did that, it would be better. But we use too much trash, so we need service.
I mean, I'm comfortable taking action on this one. I think this is far more straightforward because Jeff's already weighed in on it.
I still feel the same way, which is there are other ancillary benefits that you get from us paying for the refuse district. Including the street, are they
Infrastructure,
levitating
yeah.
to get to the
The biggest difference though is the cost of the refuse district goes down when you have fewer properties on it. Whereas the cost of educating or roads does not. So it's a shared aggregate resource at an average price per resident.
There is a economic benefit to that person of less of having the refuse district that we now have instead of the.
He still benefits from
It's
it.
a-
I see where
there
you're
is an
going.
Economic benefit to that person of less potholes, less costs that we bear from the DPW of having to fix some of those roads down the road.
But you're not taking that, you're not taking that away. You're not taking.
They are
away-
getting, but I'm
But he's
saying
not
they're
paying
getting the
for it.
benefit without paying.
He's not paying.
I'm paying for that.
He's
I
saying
can
he's
say
paid for it in his taxes.
Right.
Yeah, my taxes are paying for the refuse district that is having less of an impact on the roads. that I
No,
own.
your taxes are paying for your refuse district that you use.
Yes, are they using the same
They are not.
geographic location?
Your payment of your refuse tax is not paying for the improvement of the roads.
But the fact that there are less garbage trucks going through because we have.
Less wear and tear on the
There's
road.
less wear and tear.
Great, so, but why would
Yeah.
we charge a whole bunch of people money to put in place? Like. The idea is,
How much is?
if 99% of the population decided to not have trash pickup. And as a result, the village didn't have all these vehicles on the road, and one person paid $350. Great,
How much is John, how much is a bag of like asphalt, like fixing a pothole that's 12 inches by 18 inches? I'm just saying, like, what is the cost of,
$30.
okay, so we get a couple of those, right? That equals one, I mean, you could do this all day long. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay,
It's a
so,
community service. They're paying for community service.
so let's do this. Since we already have things deferred for Jeff to look at, let's have him address all of this and
Okay,
let's
yeah.
bring it
Yep.
back on the 12th.
Good.
Okay,
Do we contact him ahead of time to let him know?
oh, yeah, no, that's our action, that's when I say action
I'll
item.
contact both presidents.
Just so you understand, every time I say action item,
Okay,
what happens is we review everything that's an action item from this meeting, we'll do it tomorrow. And then things are sort of portioned out, oh, this is what Jeff's got to, for Jeff or me or you. So there's a whole other follow-up on this. Okay, what else?
I think that's
From
it
you.
for me tonight.
For you, okay. Are there any member items?
no.
Yeah,
Dave.
no.
I do.
No, that was a sad no from Dave. Oh,
I do,
Lisa has-
I do.
yeah,
All right,
Lisa
ready?
has one.
Pretty quick with stuff. So the mayor and I have talked about possibly doing something for Lily. We talked about a bench member.
And I wanted, yeah,
Do we want to say it?
I wanted to,
Okay,
Do it in
great.
a
We'll
session.
do it in another session. Okay, so as long as I want
Yeah.
to think about that again.
yeah.
Okay, short-term rental letter. Have we gotten that out
I
to the
believe that went
residents
out.
yet?
That went out.
Okay,
Oh,
that
yeah.
went out. Okay, great.
So,
Business in the village, the business meeting that we want to try to get together, are we gonna try to send out to get a date for that?
Alexander was working on that. I need to
Okay.
follow.
Newsletter, Mayor, are we, do you need me? Do you, or just?
we're circling back, just so you know, just to kind of give everybody a heads up, we're doing, the cutover tomorrow
Exactly.
for our new tech, yeah,
Oh.
for our new server. So everybody's been sort of, ramping up on that.
Okay.
Was there a delay for them?
Yes, which is a whole other
Whole other stuff.
ball of wax, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
Nope,
You're not
nope,
just,
it is not.
full
Don't
flat
talk
A
next
over
to
B.
me right
I'm
now.
gonna-
I was gonna say,
Yeah, so anyway, the whole point of this is just accessing some stuff has been really difficult.
Okay.
But we'll circle back as soon as
Okay,
we can, because
perfect.
I really want to get something going on.
Yeah, we have a couple issues going on. Once the IT straightens out, we'll get back and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, it's very difficult.
Right.
I know.
Do we want to talk about getting a special meeting together to discuss LOR district and districting? Remember, we talked about this many times. Do you want to try to get something on the books?
A zoning
Yeah,
workshop, you mean?
zoning, districting, zoning.
If we do a zoning workshop, I'd rather do it, when everybody's sort of back from summer.
Vacation?
Because I know residents are gonna be really interested in that. How about if we shoot for September when the kids are back in school
Sounds
kind
good
of
to me.
thing?
Get
So we'll
everything
put that
done.
as a longer term action item that we know we wanna set that up. And then as we get a little closer to it, we'll have Alexandria poll everybody for dates,
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, because that'll be big and I know people are gonna wanna weigh in.
Okay, and then last thing, I just want to give you guys an update on the bicentennial. Just quickly, on Saturday, which is September 27th, we are working on trying to get a sidewalk sale for all the businesses to have all their kind of stuff on the sidewalk. We're also thinking about doing a community garage sale. So just telling people, look, there's gonna be a ton of people in the village. If you guys want to put some stuff out in your garage, we're not gonna have anything to do with it. We're just gonna kind of advertise that we're gonna come together as a community. We're trying to get together a traveling museum for the Erie Canal, which we're thinking of doing at the old bike shop next to the new wine bar. And Vicky, the historian, is gonna try to come in and bring some memorabilia in there.
Oh, she has so much.
Yeah,
cool
and the
stuff.
Pittsburgh Art Group, the artists are also gonna bring in some of their artwork that has to do with the canal. So it's gonna be this kind of like little museum between 12 and 4, where residents can come in and just look at the artwork, look at some of the memorabilia. And it's just easy access both Saturday and Sunday.
So that would be almost like a pop-up.
Yep, it's like a
Yeah,
little pop museum, yeah. Sunday, the Seneca Chief arrives in Pittsburgh between 12 and 2. We were talking about having kind of lemonade on the lawn with the mayor and the trustees, so we might have to move that to more like 9 to 10 so that we can accommodate. They're doing a historic walking tour after that, and then we have the New York City dancers coming in from a state grant. We also have the color guard that's gonna do a big welcome for when the Seneca Chief comes in. And we're thinking the Rotary is going to sponsor a decorating contest with all the residents that own decks on the way from, in Pittsburgh, on the way from downtown Rochester through to State Street Bridge. So the Rotary is kind of doing that with kids, adopting dock, decorating it, so that when Seneca Chief comes in, they'll see all the docks decorated, and there's gonna be a winner for that. So that's kind of where we are for that weekend, so it's gonna be very exciting. Have a lot of great energy in our committee, so that's it.
Great, thanks, all good stuff. We also have banners that we purchased several months ago. That the DPW is gonna be putting up along Shane Place, so.
So thank you for letting me know that. The Chamber of Commerce is also sponsoring some banners that are gonna go up on the bridge, the Monroe Side Bridge coming into the village. So they're gonna
On
be
the
working,
bridge,
like on the outside of the bridge, they're gonna work with the DPW, the chamber is.
we need to get permission from NISTOC.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
The chamber, I think the chamber is like working on that separately, so I'll call Sheila and ask her.
yeah,
Okay,
'Cause
and then they
it's
wanna do it on the other side, on the State Street exiting too.
you just need to touch base with
Yeah,
NISTOC.
nice, there's a permit that needs to be
Yes.
filed.
Okay,
Yeah, there's some
nice
paperwork
that for
there.
banner on bridges, okay,
Great.
great. And then I don't know about your donkey. Have we heard anything about the donkey?
Oh, I'm working on the donkey.
The mayor is working on trying to get a donkey
I'm
here.
working on the donkey, AKA a mule. Okay, anything from you? We're all good?
All good.
Okay, I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Roll call.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Wilkes. Trustee Co.
Hi.
Trustee Linda.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Everyone.
All right. I gave up.